All right, let's continue on with our snowman scene. So making some really good progress here. I feel like he still needs some buttons down his center here. So you probably guessed it. We're probably going to have to go up here to create polygon primitives and then create another sphere. Okay, and now I could scale this down. And I should go back to my 4 views. So right here, I'm going to make sure that I'm in my 4 views. I could zoom out by holding Alt and right mouse clicking. And now I can place these where they need to go. So maybe something like that. Okay. And then maybe scale that down a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to go Control D, and I'm going to move that down like this. Control D, and notice when I do that, it looks like nothing happened, but once again, remember it made it in place. And now I can move this down and push it like that. Okay, great. So I feel like now we're really starting to get a good looking snowman here. I can see that he's aligned in our front view and our side view. And even our top view, even though our top view kind of looks weird, that's probably our least kind of important object here, or our least important view, but it's still important nonetheless, okay? Now, since we started making this, I can see that in my outliner, I have a lot of stuff building up, okay? And if you don't see the outliner, you may have to click on the outliner button here, or under Window, Window Outliner right here. You can click on that. And the outliner is there to show you everything in the scene. Okay, so what I could do here, like let's say if I wanted to grab the hat, I could select this part and then I could hold down Shift and click on this. And I can see that those two are part of the hat. And if I want to group that, I could press Control G as in group. Now it grouped the hat, okay? And you can see it says group 1. I could double click on group 1 and I could call this hat. And if I hit the plus sign next to hat, I can see that it's comprised of these 2 shapes. I could call this hat underscore top, hat underscore base. And then I could hide that if I wanted to. Okay. Now I could maybe do the same with the eyes. Maybe, or I don't necessarily need to group them. I could just go like this. I could just call this eye. And then I could click on this one and call this eye. Notice if they're named the same thing, it's just going to add a number at the end. Okay. To get rid of that, I could go like this. I could call this I underscore L for left. And I underscore R for right. There we go. Maybe I call this nose. And maybe I call these buttons. Okay, now I can't name them all at the same time, so I'll just go like this, button. And in this case, I'm okay with the numbers after. Okay, cool. And maybe I call this one base. Middle, and top. Okay, awesome. And now what I could do is I could select all of this. So I just click and drag down. And you can see that it selects everything in the scene. And I can hit Control G to group it. And I'm going to name this Snowman. Enter. Okay, great. So now if I click on the plus sign, I can see that I can still select things individually on the snowman, but he's also grouped. And if I click on the group itself, you can see that he highlights everything. You know, everything highlights on him. And it might be kind of weird, but if you click on him, he feels like he's not grouped because you can select things individually, okay? But here's a trick. If I select something individually like this and press the up arrow, it'll now select the group of him. Okay. Why is that important? Well, you'll notice that when you select him, or when you select the entire group, I can see that the cursor is now at the center of the scene, or the origin of the scene. If I want the origin to be at the center of him, I can go like this: modify, center pivot. And now I can see that the pivot of him, anytime that I select the group, is at the center. And now you can see that I can move all of these shapes together in unison, but I still have the ability, if I click on anything else, I could still move them individually. Okay. And for some people that seems a little weird in the beginning, and it is, but we'll see why it's like that later. But I just kind of wanted to let you know what a group is and how to kind of create a group, or we can kind of create groups within groups. I can see here's the hat. And if I wanted to get that cursor to the center of the hat, which would make more sense, I would just go up here to modify, center pivot. Okay, great. So that wraps up our grouping lesson.